Hello everyone, this is Professor Sean. I wanted to create this last class quick hit video for you all. This is something that I do every semester for my face-to-face and online classes, just to give you some information as we move into the final week of this class, as well as information that I think would be beneficial for you as you maybe move on to your four-year institution or even into your industry or career field. I think some of this information is going to be valuable to you. One of the first things I want you to look at is this particular picture. So I don't really get to see you all, and I am recording this for both my business and professional online class and my interpersonal online class. So I really don't get to see you all in interpersonal. I do for the business and professional because they have to submit speeches. But if I don't get to see you, this is what I picture the class to look like. Very multi-ethnic, very diverse, very hopefully chill and relaxed. So I may not be able to see you at all times every or twice a week like I do my face-to-face classes, but for me, this is what I think you all look like. I also am a big fan of memes and GIFs, as you could not tell throughout the semester when I would send emails. So here are a couple of memes that I have posted, and my face-to-face class, they all laughed. They thought they were hilarious. This is not to demean or degrade anyone. It's just to get you in a good mood as we start to wind down on this class. So maybe you can find yourself in one of these memes that you've had before. As I said before, they're just meant to put a smile on your face. Figuring out maybe which one of these you could be. This one right here, this was me my junior year at UT. I can tell you that for sure. Just a few more. And you're probably thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, I can relate. I can relate so much to these. Because I know I could when I was back in school, which wasn't that long ago. And I can right now with my doctorate degree. So yeah, just meant to put a smile on your face. Totally cool. A couple of information or some information about you about the final exam. I did post the final exam a week ago. I posted it a little bit early. That's something I don't normally do. And I think a few people in each class have already taken the exam. But your final exam, all chapters in the book plus all quick hits are fair game for your final exam. So you need to be aware of that. If you have not listened to the quick hits, my suggestion to you would be to listen to the quick hits first and then take the exam, because there could be information in the quick hits that could find themselves in the final exam. Since you're an online class, your exam is in D2L. I did put this up here. If you prefer to take your exam face to face, you need to let me know. It would have to be the days and times that I suggest. I've had this offer for my online students for a couple of years now, and no one's really taken me up for it, but it is an option if you want to. And your exam must be completed in one sitting, meaning as per the email, you only have 1 hour and 50 minutes to take the exam. And that 1 hour and 50 minutes is a time that is set by Lone Star College. All final grades in this class, in both classes, will be posted by Tuesday, December 17th at 4 p.m. It's probably going to be earlier. So what I want you to do is make sure your grade alerts are on in D2L via email or text message. I will send an email to the class. That email will be entitled Final Grades, and that email will just basically tell you which student had the highest final exam grade, and essentially will mark the end of the class. The email will signal that the class is complete. So it may look like all grades are posted in D2L, you have everything, but that doesn't mean all grades are complete. They're not complete until I send that email. I am a person that double and triple checks things before I hit the final submit button, so just be aware of that. You should always double check your letter grade to your number grade in D2L. So your letter grade in My Lone Star / iStar, always double check that with the number grade in D2L. I was telling the face-to-face class this morning, the system that we use to post your letter grades here at Lone Star is very, very antiquated. We've been complaining about it for years. So for example, let's say student A, Mary, gets an A in the class, and I'll put the letter grade A. It's a drop-down menu. And then the student B, the next student right behind Mary, is John. I could put a D for John, but sometimes because I put a D for John, it will go back and change Mary's grade from an A to a D. So that's why I say I double check everything, double and triple check before I hit submit. And if you take classes at Lone Star before, I would go back and recheck this if you can. And you got to check it quick because D2L closes the classes pretty quickly. But it wouldn't surprise me if there were some errors in the last couple of years from Lone Star because the system we use is so old. So always double check your letter grade to your number grade. The letter grade itself must go through what I call the White House, which is the system office in the Woodlands. They are the ones who release the letter grade. Typically, it's every hour on the hour, but because this is the fall semester, this is one of the longer one of the more heavy semesters. So it could take a while for it to get onto your transcript, but it should happen every hour on the hour. Sometimes it takes 24 hours. Sometimes it does take a couple of days or a couple of days or so. But that hasn't happened in a while. So just check it every hour. And within 24 hours, if you don't see a letter grade, then I would try to call either student services or something along those lines. After today, I'll no longer answer emails about grades unless there is some sort of grade discrepancy. For example, you have a 0 in the grade book or you turn something into a Dropbox and you don't have a grade for it. Those are the only ways I'll answer emails. Everything else, you need to just be aware of what you're emailing me when it comes to your grade. But stuff like when will this be graded or can you round up my grade, those are inappropriate. As I said before, if you have a grade alerts on, that will prevent you from emailing me asking when something will be graded because you'll get an alert once that grade has been submitted in D2L. These are my bosses. Dr. Brandyberg is our Dean of Behavioral and Social Sciences here at University Park. Kathy Cecil Sanchez is our Vice President of Instruction. And Dr. Shar Otterline is our President at University Park, which is where I am. If you want to send them an email, let them know how awesome I am and how much I need a $15 million raise. That would be totally great. If you want to send them an email saying Professor Sean sucks, he needs to be fired, they're probably just going to delete it anyway. So what's the point of sending that? And that was me being a joke. I wish you could see my face right now. I should probably make this with my face next time. Other evaluations, I welcome all feedback. If you just have a quick note, hey, Professor Sean, if you would think about changing this, it might be easier on students next semester, something along those lines. I'm an adult, I can take it. I've had plenty of students over the last couple of years say, this might be easier on students, stuff that I didn't even think about. So I have made changes, and I've already thought about changes I want to make to the next semester's classes, if that's for my students. So if you have a suggestion, don't be afraid to email it over. Evaluation in D2L, that is extra credit number 2, so make sure that you do that. Something to be aware of is the evaluation on D2L. I cannot read until after I submit final grades, so don't think that whatever you put on there, I'm going to alter your grade or some way, shape, form, or fashion. That would be inappropriate anyway, but I can't read those until the end of the semester. Rate my professor. I realize this is how students are picking their professors. I don't necessarily think it's the best way to pick a professor, but if you don't mind going in there and giving me all 5s, 14 million 5s, that's totally cool. That would be awesome. And then if you want to take me for spring 2020, I will teach interpersonal online, business and professional online, but I'll also teach Speech 1311, Intro to Communication, face-to-face at the University Park campus. One of the things I always tell my students is you're part of the privilege now. So what that means is if my classes are full, if there's a class you want to take of me and it's full, I will always override former students to get into my class. So just let me know if that is or that's applicable to you. So statistics. I had to take statistics for my doctoral class and my doctoral degree. I was not the biggest fan. I was scared of taking it, so I pushed it off to the very last minute. And one of my professors, or my professor for my stats class, helped me better understand it by asking me, what's something that you have a hypothesis about in your teaching? And my hypothesis was, if you do every assignment that you're asked to do in my class, you will probably make the grade that you want to make in the class. So he asked me to gather some data for him. So between fall 2011 and fall 2016, I taught about 2,500 students within that span. Of those students, 96.4%, this is the percentage who ended the semester with a C, D, or an F, who did not complete at least 2 assignments. So what that's saying is the reason they made a C, D, or F is because they did not complete at least 2 assignments. Not that 96.4% of my students made a C, D, or F. That's not what that's saying. It's saying they made that grade because they did not complete at least 2 assignments. 98.1% of the 96.4 percentage of those who did not complete at least one major assignment. So a major assignment would be in the business and professional class, the speeches, the exams, the improving your online profile, things of that nature. In the interpersonal class, it would be the movie analysis paper, the exams. Those are major assignments. So the first question you should ask when seeing your final grade, did I complete every assignment in the class? So my hypothesis that if you complete every assignment in the class, you're most likely going to make the grade that you want to make in the class was proven to be true. So I do offer an open mic time. This is a little easier with my face-to-face classes since we're right there together. But for my online classes, I've had students take this offer as well. What honest questions about the class or comments about the class do you have? Maybe a question about certain assignments. Why did we do certain assignments? Things of that nature. I will be open and honest with you and be as open and honest with you in answering that question and explaining maybe a question that you might have had that you were maybe too afraid to ask earlier. The most popular question I get for both online and face-to-face is, why don't I give exam reviews? And if that's your question, if you send that over, I will answer it. So send it in an email, title it Open Mic Question. I'll answer the question, but I'll send it to the entire class, and I won't tell the class who actually sent the question. So it's essentially, it's semi-anonymous because the class doesn't know who sent in the question, but I do. But they will know that someone sent in a question, and this is my response. So what they say, these are a couple of comments I've seen from past student evaluations that kind of jumped out at me as a little bit shocking. One of them said, you grade too hard for a basic level community college class. Another one said, I pay your salary, so you should do what I say. Yes, I was just as shocked as you were. That is mostly false. First things first, as I always tell my students, you should always know where your money is going. If you don't know what your tuition is paying for, the question is, why are you paying for tuition? I was that student where I would look at my tuition bill every single semester when I was at UT and see where my money was going. And if I was satisfied with it, I was good to go. If I wasn't, I would ask questions. Your tuition bill typically pays for stuff like the light bill at the campus that you go to. It pays for campus resources for you to have. Very little of your tuition goes to pay the salary of your professors. If we were to take out the tuition part that pays some of the salary of your professors, it would probably add up to about 3, 4, 5%, if that. So just be aware that no, you don't pay for the professor's salary. That's not how it works. When someone said you grade too hard for a basic level community college class, I also couple that with this comment, which is you could give us more positive feedback. It's all negative. I would say that's half true. My job as your professor is to critically evaluate you. When it comes to critical evaluation, it is to make you better. It is not my job to grade your assignments and say everything that you turn in is A+ work, especially when it's not A+ work. I have a feeling they did that in high school. You would turn in assignments, it wasn't up to par, it wasn't A+ work, instead it was C, D, or F work, and they still gave you an A+ because high school they have to pass you on. That's not how college works. My job is to critically evaluate you so that the next time you have to do a similar assignment or something of that nature, you know what mistakes you made in the past so you can do it even better in the future. So when people say I grade too hard, or some students say I grade too hard, or that my comments are all negative, my response is, that is my job. My job is to critically evaluate you so you are prepared for the next level. If I didn't do that and instead just gave you all A's for work that did not deserve an A, it would be a waste of your money. Not only that, you would not be prepared for the four-year institution. So, a couple of things, a few thoughts for you, just some helpful hints to help you navigate the four-year university and life in general. Tips for you as a student. I always say rule number one, don't blame your professor for your lack of effort. Sometimes I see students blaming the professor, that it was the professor's fault the way they organized the class, or it was the professor's fault the way they gave the assignment, things of that nature, when in reality, it was just you did not put in effort. It's okay that you didn't put in effort. You just need to realize that it's not always, once again, I'm not saying for sure, it's not always the fault of the professor. And if you couldn't tell by now, I am that professor that I recognize mistakes that I make. And if I make a mistake, I for sure am not going to punish you for my mistake. That's my mistake. So sometimes it is the professor's fault, but more often than not, it's just a lack of effort. Never email an assignment to a professor unless they specifically ask you to do so. The best way to do that is you can send the professor an email and say, I missed the Dropbox deadline, I missed the due date, what's the best way to proceed so I can submit the assignment if you're in an online class, and then let the professor dictate how they want you to do that. They might say, yeah, no, it's cool, you can go ahead and email it to me, or they might say, no, unfortunately, that needs to be turned in as a hard copy. For my face-to-face class, I would always say, if you miss a Dropbox or a deadline, always show up to the next class or to the professor's office hours with the assignment printed out, ready to go, so you can give them a hard copy. The reason you just don't want to email random stuff over to your professor is because we get so many emails every single day. So you don't want your assignment to get lost in that shuffle of emails. Something small, just staple your papers before you turn them in, and libraries even at Lone Star, they should have them. And I know they should have them in the Writing Center here at University Park. But four-year institutions, the four-year level, they will have print centers that has staplers, paper clips, things of that nature. This really didn't happen in either one of my online classes for this semester. But for some reason, some students write in red ink or blue ink, and I'm not sure why that is, when they submit things to a Dropbox. I've been told, I was even told this morning, that sometimes they do that to signal that the red ink is your answer. And my response is, no, we're smart enough to realize what the answer is and what the question is. So only write in a different color ink other than black. And I'm not talking about pens, I'm talking about font color when you submit an online document. Only write in another color if specifically asked to do so by your professor. A couple of other tips for you as a student. Always follow instructions specifically for that professor. Every professor is different, and you just have to follow the instructions that they ask for in order to be successful in that class. It's about adjustment, and you have to adjust to what that particular professor wants. We call these affinity seeking strategies, which is our strategies that we use and do to increase our chances of being liked. But more importantly, it just shows that you want to be successful in the class. I was telling the face-to-face class this morning, I was either my freshman or my sophomore year, but I had three professors in three classes that were very writing intensive. One of them was APA format, one of them was MLA format, one of them was Chicago style format. It was a doozy to get through that class. It was crazy to get through that class that semester, those classes that semester, but I had to do it. And then luckily, after that semester, every professor was APA the rest of the way. So you want to adjust to that professor. If you have a question, always ask. I don't know why students don't ask questions if they have questions. I think it's afraid of being judged, maybe, but you shouldn't worry about being judged either. When you ask questions for your professor or your TA, and in case you're wondering, TA means teaching assistant. We don't have TAs here at this level, but you do at the four-year. When you ask questions for your professor or your TA, it shows that you want to be successful. It shows that you want to do it correctly. Instead of being too scared thinking that the professor or the TA is going to judge you in some certain way. No, I know me, Professor Sean. I'm not going to judge you. I'm going to think, oh, they want to do it correctly. That's good. Good. That's a good thing. Another way to go about doing it, though, is checking the class syllabus. And you could ask your professor, your TA, say, hey, the syllabus says XYZ, so I'm following your instructions from there. Or you could say, I checked the course syllabus and my question isn't answered there. We as professors are just going to be excited that you actually read the syllabus, so that helps you out as well. And finally, if you enjoy the class or a professor, be sure to tell them. I'm not sure if you guys know this, but I don't have a teaching assistant here at Lone Star. I teach 6 classes. I have to grade everything myself. I have to grade all speeches by myself. I have to prep for next semester where I'm teaching 6 more classes. I'm teaching a mini-mester in December that I have to prep for. And on top of that, and on top of my personal life, I'm also writing a dissertation for my doctorate degree. So it means a lot when students say that they enjoyed the class or they enjoyed me as a professor, because it's a lot of hard work to do this on my own. Something you should understand of what I believe in. Y'all, college is hard. It's not meant to be easy. Why is it not meant to be easy? Because it's a trial run for being an adult. There are hard deadlines. There are due dates. There are consequences for not meeting those deadlines and those due dates. Sometimes some professors, if you don't meet the deadline or the due date, it's a 0. Sometimes in life, at your job, at your work, if you don't meet a deadline, you could get fired, right? So it's essentially a college is a trial run for being an adult. There are no automatics, and that's one of the things I'm not the biggest fan of about high school is there's automatics. There's not automatics in college, and there's not automatics in life. Sometimes there's always other people who can do it better and who can do it a little bit easier than you can. So don't think because you can't do it that means everyone else can't do it, because that's definitely not true. I'm also a full-fledged believer that we need to do more for mental health for students at Lone Star. And I'll be honest, Lone Star has improved drastically in this area. I think some students are afraid to admit mental health issues because they're afraid of being judged. And my response is, why do you care? It's your life. We're trying to get you help so that you can be successful. Don't worry about being, and I can be straight up honest with you, nobody's judging you. We want to help. People want to help. And I, your professor, Professor Sean, I want you to be successful. And part of that success could be admitting that you do have some mental health issues. And everyone, I shouldn't say everyone, a lot of people have suffered through this, and that is a direct impact on how successful or not successful you are in college classes. When I say mental health, depression, anxiety, things of that nature, and I'll be honest, I myself suffered through depression after I graduated from UT. Why? Because I had no clue what to do next. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't find a job. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Didn't know what type of job I wanted. Didn't know if I should go back to school. So it was an eye-opening moment in my life, and I'm always proud to talk about that moment with my students because it lets you know, hey, even I've suffered through this as well. And some of you have family issues listening to this, meaning you don't know what you're going to eat tonight. And it's not a matter of Chick-fil-A versus Chili's. It's a matter of you just don't have any food at home. You don't have the means to go to HEB and get you some food. We have students on campuses, all 7 campuses, who don't know where they're going to sleep tonight. We found numerous students sleeping in their cars here at the University Park campus. So just be aware all of this can affect your success in college. And the question is, how can you deal with this? We have ways that you can deal with this. Your tuition is paying for ways that you can deal with this at Lone Star. So I just want you to be aware of that. We can deal through this with help, and it's up to us to ask for help. Finally, a few thoughts for you. Understand time management. I realize some of you are taking multiple classes and working 30, 40 hours a week, taking care of your family. Some of you have small kids at home, things of that nature. So time management is key. We learn about time management through mistakes. Sometimes it's a matter of, oh man, maybe I'm taking too many classes. Sometimes it's a matter of, maybe I should probably not go to the club tonight and instead stay home so I can work on my speech or work on my movie analysis paper. Time management is something that you learn by through mistakes, and you can adjust for the next level or for the next time. I'm okay with failure as long as you learn from that particular mistake. What did you learn from failing so that you don't prevent yourself from failing in that same situation the next time? Always be professional. That includes writing emails to your professor. And with you guys for online, you primarily communicate with me via email. Something that I do want you to work on is filling out the subject line of the email instead of just leaving it as is, so that speech 1318 or speech 1321 and the title of the class. I have heard some professors like that because it lets them know which class you are coming from. I'm personally not a big fan. I'm a communications major. The subject line should be filled out so that the person reading the email knows what the email is about. Sometimes some of you have sent me urgent emails but did not fill out the subject line, so I had no clue that the email, what it was about, or that it was urgent information. So just something to be aware of as you move on. Always be responsible for yourself and your work. Never let anyone take down your grade. Never let anyone be responsible for your own grade. It's your grade, it's your transcript, it's your degree. Always be responsible for you. Practice self-determination, which is basically your personal motivation. So what that means is you're free to make your own choices because you know what the consequences are of making those choices. The example I always give is a student a couple of years ago decided to go on a 3-week family vacation backpacking through Europe, which is badass and awesome. I was like, oh, that's really cool. The problem is she was going to take that 3-week vacation in conjunction with the week off that we got for Thanksgiving. So essentially, she was going to be gone for almost a month of class. And she wanted to know if she could make up her work when she got back. And my response was, no, you personally chose to take a family vacation. She was upset because they had bought the tickets months ago. And my response to that was, you didn't know that you were going to take a college class back in April or March when you bought these tickets. Here it is, November. Another example I always give is my junior year. I was taking a class. I was making an A in the class, a very difficult class, was making an A. And my friends wanted to go to Port Aransas to hang out on the beach, have some drinks, have a good time, things of that nature. But I had a test that day. I wanted to leave to go hang out with my friends. I chose to leave to go hang out with my friends in Port Aransas and take a 0 on the exam. In this class, there were no makeup exams, so that brought my grade down from about a middle A to a very low B. It was barely hanging on to a B by a shred. I was okay with that because I knew we had one more exam left and we had a public speaking assignment in the class, which I think I'm pretty good at public speaking. And so I thought to myself, if I work my butt off and make an A on that exam and ace, make a 100 on the public speaking assignment, it will pull my grade up to a low A. And I'm fine with a low A because a low A is still an A. And sure enough, I was able to do that. So self-determination, you're okay with the choices that you make, but you're also okay with the consequences, meaning there's no special treatment because of who you are. You don't get special treatment and you're not expecting special treatment. Final thoughts, make sure you're mature, know when it's time. Adulting is hard, so be an adult, but know when to have fun as well. I'm all about professionalism. Professionalism goes a long way with your instructors. Always strive to be better, and what I mean by that, I love teaching at Lone Star, but please don't let this be your ceiling. Go on, get your bachelor's degree, get your master's if you can. We're now in a situation in America where some just entry-level jobs are requiring master's degrees. That is just baffling to me. But I can also show you research that says the higher degree you earn, the more money you make over the course of your lifetime. And I'm not talking about thousands, I'm talking about millions. Always remember these words. Focus on what you can control. When I heard Michelle Obama say this, it instantly relieved stress because I was always stressing over things that I had no control over. You have control over putting together your speech in my business and professionals class. as per the assignment instructions. You have control over answering all of the prompts of the movie analysis project in my interpersonal class. You have control over your writing style and going to the writing center to make sure everything is correct. But what you don't have control over in either situation is your grade. I control the grade based on you completing the assignment to the fullest degree of the instructions. So when you stop focusing on things you have no control over, you'll instantly start seeing less stress in your life. But finally, I am here for you if you want to chat about anything, life advice, you need me to watch a soccer game. I've had students bring their kids to class and I was babysitting while lecturing. Whatever you need me to do, I am here for you. You're my former student. I will always make time for you. I have a former student I had 4 years ago. He still drops by my office every so often and we talk about weightlifting techniques. I mean, he was in my interpersonal class. So if you ever need anything, just let me know. It has been a pleasure teaching you. This was just a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, but I did want to get you all this information. If you have any questions, please let me know. It's been a pleasure teaching you this semester.